Hey guys, welcome back to Hotel Dropouts. Today I'm joined by Dan and Bernard for a free riffing session. We will be briefly talking about how to be a housewife since the 60s, and then we'll see what happens. You can check us out on Spotify if you're on the go, support us on Patreon if you'd like to submit any questions. And yeah, let's get started. Thor,
Hello, everyone.
how are you?
Hello.
How are your weeks? Let's do a recap.
Oh, what
Dan?
did I do this week? I've been fixing a little problem at one of the projects. I saw a friend perform in a theater, and I guess that's the most interesting part.
That's a
I
huge
felt like I
deal.
heard that theater thing already once. How often do you go to the theater?
Every once in a while, my friend picked up a hobby of performing, and he's been doing that for like 2 years, I think.
Wow, Dan is like secretly classy. We didn't know this, but he dresses up for the theater.
And a cylinder and a monocle.
Yeah, I was just thinking the monocle.
Dan has a snap-on beard, one of those like curvy beards that you put on. How about you, Benny? What did you do during the week?
Oh man, this week flew by, man. Like I have no idea. Like I felt like I I needed sleep for 2 of those days.
Oh wow.
Like I didn't sleep enough. But then again, man, it's always so difficult. Like I always say to myself, "Oh, I gotta get more sleep," but then it don't happen, and I don't know. I don't know.
Could you
And it's
nap?
not like I'm going to bed late. It's just the day is so filled with stuff. Oh, I met the situationship of a friend, and I must say I wasn't too impressed.
What's a situationship? Oh, you mean the partner?
No, he's not the partner.
Isn't that
Oh,
what?
They,
Isn't that what a
it's
situationship is? Like,
yeah. Well, it's like where you're not together but still seeing each other.
I'm so confused. Wait.
friends with benefits?
No, well, kinda, I guess. But you're kind of a little bit more than just friends with benefits, I guess. I don't know. This is this new age terms where they're like it's a situation.
Oh my
And the
god.
ship that's boating it is involved.
I'm so confused. Like,
Oh
what
well,
exactly?
there is some rocket involved, like you're on a boat. Hey, hey.
So you were not
All right,
impressed.
look.
It feels like
Let's.
something right before a relationship.
Yeah, but
Like
then you
right
will say
before you
you're
admit.
dating. But that would be dating. But apparently they're not dating. Aren't they just? Yeah, I
It's
don't know,
dating
man.
without dates.
So they're just friends.
No.
Well, they met. I mean, they're both wanting something more, but like they don't talk about it. It's like I don't know, man. All right, so the different definition of a situationship is a romantic or sexual relationship that is not considered to be formal or established. Okay, so what's the
That's how I feel about it. It's like it's what you have right before you admit you have a relationship. But I guess maybe people withhold in admitting that, and that's why they started to call it a situationship.
Yeah, but wouldn't you just call that dating? Oh, hold on. Here's the AI overview. A situationship is a relationship without clear commitment or definition, a sort of undefined in between space, while dating implies a more intentional and potentially longer term pursuit of a relationship. Dating typically involves an expectation of progress towards a committed relationship, whereas situationships lack this clear path and often involve ambiguity about the future and the nature of the relationship. So basically, one is more like, "Hey, I like you. We're getting to know each other, and we have like a roadmap." That I think that's that's
by
dating and
January.
situation.
I think I know
By
that.
January this at 12 o'clock that.
So it's
No, but
basically.
like.
No, we missed our sex schedule. I'll have to wait a week.
And then situationship is basically like you kind of it's kind of like that moment between getting together, but there's no intention of getting together.
Is this when, okay, I think I understand. Is this when you have an option? You have somebody that you kind of like, but you're not really sure about the future, but you are kind of together, but you're not really together, and you're kind of just waiting for a better option to come by, and then you'll move on from that. But until then, you're stuck with each other. Is that the gist of it?
I
Sounds
guess
about right to
so.
me.
Yeah, because I have a
Yeah,
friend who's
because
doing that now. Like he's got this girl that he kind of likes, but then doesn't really see a future with, and then she doesn't particularly seem to be interested in any future as well. They're kind of just hanging out, having sex, playing
but are they
games.
talking about it though? Because I think in a situationship you don't talk about it. You're both like leaving it ambiguous. Where in dating there is at least some form of communication and
Ah,
commitment and like, hey, what are we? Where are we going? What's going on? Right? At least you talk about it.
that's so confusing. What's the point? Am I too
I
old for this?
guess I
Oh,
guess people are
Oh,
afraid of setting boundaries and conflicts, and I don't know.
it could be, yeah. I can imagine that it's, especially when you have like your life going on. And I could just imagine this person going, "Oh my God, it's just too much. It's just too much." So then,
I see a comment. I just looked quickly on Reddit. I mean, Reddit's not the best place to get really advice, I think, but sometimes there are little gems. And someone wrote like, situationship is a immature way idiots call a relationship in the hopes of downplaying some aspects of a relationship, such as commitment, either to be cool and with it or out of some sad fear of commitment.
you see, that's what I feel like. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're just trying to downplay the commitment and stuff. So
makes
Oh,
sense. I feel like sounds about right.
am I too old for this world? I just feel like whenever I hear
Nah,
this, I'm like, shake my head, man. Why? Why even? Just don't.
nah.
hmm.
I think it's. I don't think it's even an age thing as much because I feel like it's something that is going on with everyone today.
That
I
could be.
feel like
That's true.
it's my feeling
Ah, man,
about it.
rough world, rough life. Situationship.
Do
I,
we have a commitment issue thing?
Between the three of us,
No, I mean like just generally. Like, do you think
humanity.
humanity
I think so. Yeah.
is it though, or is just a minority?
I guess I don't know what's the percentage of the population, but it's more than before, and that's why we feel it more.
Hmm.
what do you guys think about the narrative that like how some manosphere guys are always like, oh, men are meant to breed with multiple partners to maximize his genetic dispersion, and so by laws of nature, a man cannot necessarily commit because it's in his biological interest to not commit, to be to be
Is it?
that it's
I
their
feel like
it's their narrative. It's what they're saying.
I feel like it's an individual thing. Some people are mm, like we're all different. Some people want to have multiple relationships in their lifetime. Some people are perfectly fine with having one for the rest of their life. Um, it's personal, but I wouldn't steer our society by how how in nature for some other species it happens,
Yeah,
because you can then continue with, like, if I'm not wrong, bears kill other cubs that are not their own, and it makes sense if you look at it very transactionally, but I wouldn't support that.
yeah. I mean, we've never really bred for the, we've never really conducted ourselves along the lines of what's best, biologically. Like we only breed the very best people or things like that. So I don't know. The argument
I
kind of falls
wonder,
apart.
maybe biologically it's better for, like, to have as more maybe biologically it's better for us to have babies only from one couple, and then that couple never to have other babies with other people, right? Because then we have
So we,
the next generation is more different amongst each other.
yeah.
What?
Does it make sense?
It makes sense.
Like there's less relatives.
Yeah, it's just so if let's say you and I are a couple, and then our genes kind of just stop with our first offspring, right? Like, so there's no longer another kind of like a copy of me or you, and thereby we kind of just make sure that the gene pool is as diversified as it can be.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what you mean?
But it sounds like some kind of oh fuck, I'm hurt my tongue. Like
Oh, to be clear, I didn't mean that it should be imposed by law or something. I was just saying that
that's.
it's a thing to aim at.
But how do you track that? Like, wouldn't you need like a kind of tracking system? It's like, all right, these people are too closely genetically related. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't mean to track it. As I said, I just want it could have been like a guiding star for the society. But of course, if it doesn't work out with your partner, you split apart. You shouldn't be forbidden to have more children. But what I was saying is that it's kind of opposite of having one male having multiple different children from different women.
I have to say, I'm kind of worried that because I feel like Dan has a lot of these guiding principles for for societies that are just one step away from social from tyranny. Every time
Better
you,
not let me get to power.
but yeah, what were
But
we?
I like discussing things that I don't want to impose them, but it's just interesting to talk about them.
Famous last words of a dictator. I'd like to talk about it, just hypothetically.
Just hypothetically, my clerk here is writing them down in forms of laws.
Right. My week has been simple. I'm stuck in this British nightmare of a bureaucratic loop. I need a proof of address to apply for a bank account so I can get paid, and I cannot get hired unless I have a bank account. I cannot have a proof of address unless I rent a place or do something like have a bill. It needs to be like a water bill, electricity bill that's addressed to me. And I can't do that unless I rent a place. But in order to rent a place, I will need a job. And to get a job, I will need a bank account to get paid. And to get a bank account, I need a proof of address. So I'm stuck in this bureaucratic nightmare, and I'm just gonna have to wait. I am at the behest of the British Crown. I'm waiting for my national insurance number, and once I have that letter, maybe, just maybe, they'll let me use a banking system. This is, yeah. So I'm just waiting for that.
Crazy stuff.
That's insane.
I looked
Just
online. I looked online. I was just like, oh, because a lot of people are on the same visa I am. It's called a youth mobility scheme. And then I just looked online, and then one of the official forum responses on UK.gov is just It just said, yeah, that is one of the limiting factors for people on this visa. So they simply can't get a banking account. In other words, they are admitting that YMS is nothing more than a scheme to get people to come here and get paid under the table by working in restaurants or farms, like those low end jobs. That's such bullshit. Man.
Now you have your clear path.
Yeah, I guess so. Fucking hell.
Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe I could do some kind of an online banking that might be able to work, but I'll just have to wait, I guess.
Yeah, isn't there a bank that you can? But because you're a foreigner, they might not allow you to, right?
Yeah. All right.
Aye.
Okay. Well, getting to this week, should we? We potentially are gonna piss off a lot of women with this episode. What does
Why?
It's not like we don't piss off any other people in the previous episodes anyway.
What?
Has the 10-minute mark passed?
Okay, what does it mean to be a good wife for you guys? I think it'll be interesting to talk about like our in terms of our culture, because in my culture,
wait.
Yeah,
throwing us into the fire.
Exactly.
Do you mean for this day and age? Do you mean for whose culture? Like just our perspectives, or like?
Oh yeah, I was getting to it. So
Personally,
what does
for
it
you,
mean?
I think.
What does it mean to be a good wife when you were growing up in your household, in your culture?
Growing up.
Yeah.
While growing up, damn.
Yeah, when you were a kid.
Oh.
I was growing up in a transitional period. Right when I was born, it was very traditional. I remember the idea back then was that if a girl doesn't have a child by 25, people would start to talk behind her back, thinking that there's something wrong with her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that sounds like those leftover women from the Chinese perspective, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the 剩女, leftover women that nobody wants. You know what's crazy about that is that this was a conversation I think about 5 or 6 years ago, and even back then in China, it is next to impossible for you as a man to find a wife in certain parts of China, where especially like in the metropolitan areas, in big cities, there's so many men competing for one woman, and one of the main issues at the time, the one of the main peculiarities that people have observed was that these men that cannot find a woman would still rather remain single, even if there is a woman beyond the age of 30 that's available for dating. They still
What?
Yeah, right. Like it's as if these men don't see the numbers. They don't really see how statistically skewed the population is and how little of a chance it is for them to find a partner. And still, they reject anyone over the age of 30.
Okay, this brings a topic to my mind, which is completely tangent from what we're talking about. But the idea of incels.
Yeah.
I don't get that too. But anyway, we can talk about it another time. Let's stick with the topic. I don't want a tangent.
Oh yeah.
I think growing up with my environment and my and we talk of, when we say growing up, we're thinking like teenage years, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Thought this earlier, but
yeah, like earlier preteens to teenage years. I would say that I was ingrained with the idea that a good wife was somebody, like, it was a very conservative view. I am very well aware of that. These views that I have when I was younger does not reflect the views I have now. But since you asked specifically for that time period, it was a more conservative view on traditional gender roles, I would say. I would have the opinion when I was younger that a good wife would be a lady who stays at home, who looks after the kids and the household, and who would be loyal to her partner and supportive
Oh,
and cooks and cleans and that kind of like traditional housewife gender role.
you're a misogynist and you're cancelled.
Oh no.
Bernard, it was nice knowing you.
However, I did mention that my
Why
views
is he
have
still
changed
speaking?
over the years. Oh, all right. I'll be quiet now.
Well, actually, if you talk about how I felt about a good wife when I was a teenager, because what I mentioned was more like what the society, what I've been told the society was like when I was just like literally being born. But for me, I'm not quite sure where this comes from, but I was always very like equal. You know, men and women should be equal. Well, I mean, I understand that there are some differences, but this is like where we should aim at. And and to be honest, recently it's changed a bit towards a bit more of a traditional view, and not because of my own decision or like desire. I just found out that apparently, at least where I live, or at least my social circle, this is how when women themselves want it. Because apparently I was a bit too equal.
Wait, are you
Believe it or not.
are you deflecting any potential blames on you by making something that's so you're saying something along the lines of, oh, okay, well, it turns out women don't actually want to have a full-time job and then support half of the family. Things
This
like,
is what society says.
You know, it sounds like it. It sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I'm telling all this, because I feel like it's an interesting thing to hear for somebody.
yeah,
But
and
but
that's
it is
like,
really like that. But I did I did have a disclaimer that it's only like from the circle of my from my own circle, right? Because I don't know, I cannot speak for the whole country, and I've heard plenty of stories that in more Western European countries, it's not the case. It's different. It's actually what I felt like it should have been, like where I aimed at, and where I felt, and how I felt women of my generation that are living here also wanted. But recently, I found out that it's not exactly like that.
I think Dan is culturally misplaced. You know, I was surprised when you said that as well. What was it? You said that some of your female friends uh said something about how they thought a man ought to be. Was that the case?
It's more like this. At one point, me and my partner, we were discussing misunderstanding in our relationship.
Yeah.
It was about budgeting in our family, and that's how it all came up. And then we talked about it more, and then the problem is solved, but we still kind of talk about it because it's interesting how much.
Budgeting
It's
is?
interesting for me how much I was wrong, and it's surprising because I don't know about you, but I feel like everybody around me, and not around me, but like everybody on social media is talking about how women want equality, right? And that's how. Then I guess maybe that's where my idea that a husband and wife should be equal in their family and both work for the good of the family.
What do you mean, like
Yeah.
in terms of what they do? Like both parties should work and both parties should contribute to housework and chores, etc., and grocery shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's how I feel. Is there something wrong with that? I feel like that should be
Well,
the case.
well, apparently, from what I've heard, it's not. It's a bit hard to explain. I don't think I'll be able to explain it all.
Um,
But basically, equality is good. They don't want like the traditional stuff where women are like locked into their house and they basically are chore doer all the time. But also at the same time, like this breadwinner concept is attractive for women. Like it's not about logic as much as it is a part of attractiveness.
Is
And
back it
like if it's fine for everyone to kind of do chores, but when it comes to money, it's expected that the man pays a bit more. And of course, if it's a date,
yeah.
then it's completely paid by the man.
What? Okay, wait.
And this is just to confirm, this is what your female friends said that they expect, right?
Yeah. But when I look at it, and if I look at the social media, I would say that this is kind of what's going on in our former Soviet countries.
Okay.
That's I feel like.
When you said like the breadwinner concept is sexy, is there an admission that these women feel like, okay, I would prefer if my husband is the main breadwinner for the house, and that I would be the main caretaker of the house. Like even though both of us would help out with groceries and cleaning and whatnot, but that would be my main responsibilities. And that when it comes to having a child, I would definitely sacrifice, like as the wife, I would sacrifice my job first and have my husband still be the breadwinner. Is that the case? Is that what they want?
Yeah. I would say it's about right.
Oh boy.
So it's like it's not exactly
Cancelled.
completely traditional, but it's a bit leaned.
It's like a
towards
hybrid.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because in the Soviet Union, the idea of equality between men and women are like in these countries, they were brought a lot earlier. I feel like in the 50s, where in America a woman was a housewife and didn't do any work. My grandmother at that time was literally a crane operator, like a construction crane. And it was normal for women to have basically what I feel like even today are considered manly jobs.
That's so cool. I just imagined like your babushka, with the with a head scarf and everything. She's super old, but then she's just using a crane. Like a
Well, she was
360.
young back then, but that's about right.
But I get what you mean because during the Maoist era of China, during that socialist era, women women's rights were in these socialist countries were far ahead of that of their Western counterparts. Mostly because the country needed the women to work as well because the men were all dying.
Yeah.
So
And also I heard in the very beginning where there was still some voting, this way the communists would get a lot of votes because the other sides of the political were not going to grant any rights to women, but here are the communists that are like, oh yeah, sure, men and women are also equal. Everyone is equal, so you get to vote. So that's how they would get additional support. That's what I've heard.
I find it depressing that the biggest leap in women's rights came from the fact that men were dying. Like men had to die for women to have rights.
Well, it's a way to see it.
I wonder how different, like, because you said that these former Soviet blocs, a lot of women share these feelings now, and I wonder if what about like the women from the Middle East, especially in countries that are more affluent now, like Dubai, and parts of maybe Lebanon, more modernized areas in the Middle East that still has like a very strong Islamic influence. how would their generation feel? Because look, like we live in a world where we're all, we're all out for ourselves. We all need to make money, have our own savings. Um, how is it that your friends would they be comfortable in the idea that maybe they'll have a kid, but they'll sacrifice their careers, and then their husband cheats, and then there's a divorce, and then what happens next? You don't have a career to fall back on. You're kind of alone.
I'm not sure about this. But one thing that came to my mind is it's often an argument like why should men pay more? It's because women are compromising in other areas.
Yeah, I mean it's a teamwork, right? Yeah, you don't. There's always one thing I always say, like you put the right person for the right job. You don't put an IT specialist in the kitchen if you can't cook, and you don't put a cook in nuclear strategic planning if he's not trained or able to comprehend that level of logistics and threat analysis. So why do you compromise your efficiency as a whole, as a unit, just to have this notion of you should do the same things I do?
I understand
You know what
that
I mean?
point, but now it seems like there is a fixed notion of who should do what, right? Like, do you remember when we
And
talked
who's
about
who's supposed to be deciding that though?
exactly, right? That's my question. Did you remember when I said that even in today's world, a lot of women reported that this was I believe it was a study conducted in Northern Europe as well, where women who are higher earners, who earn a lot more than their husbands, report cheating more, and the husband, of these high income wives also report cheating more because of feelings of inadequacy. What do we make of that?
Wait. So the one who's did you I had a brain fart. Did you say the partner of the ones who's earning or the person who's earning?
Both.
When a woman earns more in a relationship, both of them cheat more
Yeah.
on average.
Yeah. That the
You mean
woman.
both the husbands and the wives?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The wife would then seek a potential, would seek partners to, other partners to cheat on. Some not necessarily another guy who earns more money. Not that they could cheat on anyone.
Basically, they're not satisfied as much in their
Yeah,
relationships. I think that's what
Yeah, but
I'm
why
pointing
though?
towards too.
I don't
Because I
know.
guess
I
even
feel
though we're all about equality, we still have some sort of lingering past views about that men are breadwinners and it's more attractive that way. That's what my like very brisk
yeah.
view on
And
that.
usually successful women look for men who are more successful than them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And you know what? I wanted to mention while listening to this, it made me feel like it's kind of similar to me because I was about equality, and I am still about equality. To be honest, it still feels more comfortable for me. I kind of get this weird feeling of like, are people going to love me only because I earn money?
Yeah,
Mm,
I
I
know
know
what you
it's not
mean.
like that, but I get that feeling. And another thing is, I'm all about equality. But to be honest, I do feel better because I earn more than my partner.
I was gonna ask that. There was a narrative in the manosphere from a long time ago that I heard, where women are less likely to date downwards, as in a high earning woman dating a low earning man, whereas a high earning man are more inclined to date women that are less earning less than they do.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, but
something?
would you say, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
would you say like it's also a little bit of the insecurity on the side of the men as well? Because I feel like we as men have always been told since we grow up that, oh, you have to be the provider. You have to be the one how do I say it? Like, you have to be the man, right? It
Yeah.
feels like a bit like toxic masculinity as well,
I
where you're like, you have to put the pants on. You have to be the one making the decisions. If not, you're not a real man. Like, you're just a bitch. And you hear that
yeah.
growing up all your life, so you
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of think that way too, don't you think?
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a position where your partner is the main income, the main breadwinner, there's also a little bit of soft power involved, where
The
obviously
relationship
if she's the one
dynamic, right?
making, yeah, the person, regardless of gender now, the person making more money has a bit more say in what goes on. If they're going for a vacation, if they're gonna get a new car, if they're gonna move their house.
Do they?
Because wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I've seen people in relationships where you have a wife that doesn't work, but then she has more say because she's just simply the more dominant personality in the relationship. Like you
And
don't.
would the guys be happy
Some guys are
about that?
happy. Some men prefer when decisions are made for them. When it comes to these, like vacations or these small things that they don't have to concern themselves with.
Just as some women prefer to have the decisions made for them as well. But
True.
I'm just saying there's a disparity between what we have been raised to expect. And
Yeah.
and these things, nobody is immune to propaganda.
I was gonna say that, yeah, I understand like the whole breadwinner concept, but apparently, this is also happening to people that are so wealthy that yes, in that partnership, both of them are super wealthy. What the guy or the girl makes more money than them. And one story I heard about the cheating happened to a couple that both worked in the financial sector. And yes, the woman makes a lot more money, but they both make millions of dollars. So there's no struggle with life for the both of them, and still they feel unfulfilled. There's still that comparison going on. So why would that be?
Maybe you know what? Maybe they earn more because they always feel unfulfilled, so they keep trying to climb higher. And
Yeah.
it's not because they're more. They don't cheat because they're rich, but they're rich and they cheat because of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels to me like, also, I mean, you can't always say, oh, you just need to communicate better. But it feels to me also like, no, it's true though. It feels to me also like maybe you should be communicating these things. I mean, it's not easy to talk about your frustrations and your thoughts and your
Yeah.
fears with your partner. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, I thought I was being open, but I realized like I was scared of telling my partner how I feel, because I'm scared. I was scared of being judged. I was scared of being seen as less of a man, as not having my shit together.
And all the while,
And that,
you were very much judging yourself for not being the kind of ideal man that you thought you would be. Were you doing that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Uh,
I guess because I start to question, like, what the fuck is wrong with me, right? Like, why do I
Precisely.
feel insecure? Why do I feel like such a bitch? Like, that was how I was thinking of myself as well, right?
Yeah,
Like, as a man, you're supposed to be the rock of the relationship. You're supposed to be the anchor.
yeah, the
You're
stoic
supposed to
anchor.
shut the fuck up and have your shit together.
That's what I was
But
trying to
no.
allude.
You should drag everyone down into the void. Be the
Yeah,
rock.
no. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? I was dealing with all these issues, but it's internal.
Yeah.
And I one day opened up to my partner about it, and she didn't make fun of me. She was very supportive, and she was saying, me doing that felt like I was building a wall between myself and her, like I was distancing myself. So
You know what?
sometimes I feel like we think we are communicating but due to our fears of being judged, because we don't know until it happens, right? You don't want to find out that your partner actually doesn't respect you or doesn't support you or makes fun of you. You don't want to find that out. So I guess a lot of people just rather not find out
Yeah, you know,
and
like
have to deal with the consequences of that.
you know, like, and some people are a lot more, a lot less trusting. You know, that even when their partners kind of like tell them, even when their partners reassure them that no, this is perfectly fine, they still feel like no, you secretly look down on me for this, and no, you secretly feel like I'm not man enough for this. You know, there's always that trouble. That's the problem with this kind of internalized misogyny or sexism, I guess. You know,
Maybe.
I can relate to this because a lot of people in my community have internalized homophobia. That even when there is no homophobia happening, that you imagine that there is, and it still affects you. You know.
Oh, I'll be right back. Just a quick moment.
Sure. You know what I wanted to mention?
Yeah.
Let me try to remember because I've been holding it in my head. Basically, about the openness. So I didn't have that problem like Bernard. I never felt like I cannot open up because I was ashamed. But I had a thing from a different angle, I guess. At one point, I felt like I'm too open, like I share everything, and at some point, I felt like, am I overloading other people with this? Maybe I shouldn't like just share everything that basically comes to my mind about my worries and everything. Maybe I should have a buffer that kind of uh, I accumulate some stuff. Some stuff fizzles out themselves. Some things I sort out myself, and then I can, sometimes it's nice to talk about openly about things. But if you always talk about it, I feel like it's a bit too much for the other person. And recently, I had that thought, and I've become a bit more reserved with sharing stuff.
And how is that working out for you? Because this is something I have wondered as well. I feel like in my past relationship, I was too transparent. I shared everything, and I learned I learned it the hard way that if I share everything, I tend to drive the other person away. It's too much to handle, especially some of the
Oh,
darker thoughts that I have.
so
So
actually, you learned it because I never, and like for example, my partner never told me that. Oh, you're like sharing too much. No, no, never happened. Nothing. I didn't get any feedback about this, but this is just something that I felt like, and that's why I decided to
I
stop it. And I'm happy that I didn't continue until somebody told me,
yeah.
because that would be worse. And kind of sorry about saying this, but hearing from you what you experienced makes me feel like I did the right decision. I made the right decision.
Hearing that I fucked up, now you feel better that, that you're not gonna fuck up. Fuck up, fucking up. You know what? I feel like there is a cardinal rule to this. I feel like, look, because there are times that, when especially when I was younger, I still have a lot of issues with my own body image, and sometimes I have like depressive thoughts, and then there's this part of me that is unnecessarily grim and dark. That there is a part of me that have this image of the world where everybody just wants power, sex, and money, which I'm not wrong, but still, like, you cannot live your life thinking that everybody's out to get you, and it's a kind
Yeah.
of a trauma that I've had since I was a kid, and I remember dumping too much of that on my ex, and even though he was kind and he never said that, oh, you shouldn't load this on me, you shouldn't say you shouldn't express these feelings. But I know that it was a contributing factor, like that this is too much. There are times that you do need
Yeah.
a buffer between your thoughts and your
Yeah.
partners. You need to protect them from it, especially if you have a mind as fucked up as mine.
That's also one of my issues with opening up about how I feel, because like at what point is it too much, right?
Yeah, and at what
Yeah,
point
you
does
know,
it?
it's a thing you
balance, like,
when you open up to someone, and if that person really cares for you, he's your good friend or your partner,
Mm,
he won't say no, even if it's hard for him or her. He
yeah,
won't say no. So you have to be. It's like a request that they cannot say no to. So
yeah,
you have to be careful with it. Sometimes you really need it, but you cannot just
yeah.
spam it.
yeah.
I
And
feel
also think of it on the other hand as well, right? If your partner have these thoughts, would you like to know? Because I would like to
I
know, and
would,
I don't
I
think
would.
I'll.
I don't want you to have any buffer between you and me. Like, I want you to unload
Exactly. So
everything.
so so why are you? So on one hand, right? Like, why are you then putting that buffer for
I
something
would
that you would like? You
I
know what
would
I mean?
say I would say that I would want the other person to consider me as I'm considering other people at the moment. Like I don't want somebody to like just drench me in their problems 24/7, right? I mean, I'm going to the extreme example
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
to show a point. But so yeah, I would say that it's good. If people should maybe buffer is not the right word, but
Filter, maybe.
you have to think that it's also a demand from the other person. It also takes their resources.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it drains their
So you
energy.
have and a good friend wouldn't decline this, even if themselves are not quite in the spot to
Ready
do
for
it.
it. Yeah.
So that's why, and you should never reach like ideally, you should never reach a point where somebody would tell you that, because not everyone will tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Uh,
Maybe, I think perhaps the approach is to, whenever you have these thoughts that you feel like it needed to be shared, but what you can do is kind of filter these thoughts yourself. You condense them, you filter them, you figure, you do like a first pass. You analyze it yourself, and then only then, once you've processed it once you've done some work, you then bring that to your partner and then be like, hey,
Wait. No. Stop you there. Sorry to interrupt. But you are missing out another layer of consideration, where what is your partner going through right now? Like, my partner was having a really stressful exam period, and right after that exam period, she's having a really stressful military service
oh yeah,
period.
I mean, that goes without saying. Of course, I would never say that you unload on your partner when they're not ready for that. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Obviously, do it only when they have the mental capacity to handle it. There's always a good timing, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. This is quite the tangent. We should get back to housewifing. Um,
No, I think this is an important discussion to be having as well, though.
it
Like,
is, and it really touches on my heartstring because I feel like, boy, I was too excited in my relationship to have somebody to share so much with, because when you're single, you have no one to share this with. I often sit alone with my own thoughts, and then I feel like it was. I sometimes blame myself for making such a mistake, that opened up too much. It was expecting too much of my partner, and then I feel like it's a balancing act. Like, at one point do you hold back so much that then there is no point to this tete-a-tete, this hearty
yeah.
relationship, and then at what point do you give so much that you overwhelm people?
well, are you asking what is too much?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
No, I think
asking.
that's a hypothetical. I saw it
uh,
more as a
Okay, I guess it. Yeah, maybe that
like,
makes more sense.
okay,
yeah.
so let me ask you guys this question. What if you have things that you need to talk about? There are problems that you need to address, and it's somewhat more metaphysical. It's something
Yes.
that is on your mind, something that you want to share. Let's say maybe you have a particular feeling about how you see yourself into the long term. Let's say, if you're going into a long distance relationship and you have some thoughts about it. and then maybe you're on the brink of suggesting like an open relationship, but then your partner is never like emotionally available to talk about it, what would you do then? What would be
Yeah,
the
you know
approach?
what? You know what? I also not exactly the answer on your question, but a quick thing that I thought about
Mm.
is, you know, if it's if you're opening up about some of your personal problems, it's one thing. But if you need to talk about your relationship problems or the problems that you think you have,
Uh-huh.
then I guess there's at least another threshold for that. Like,
That's true.
you know, you should be able to talk about it more freely, like without restricting yourself as much,
True,
because it's
yeah,
important
because
to affect
it
both of
concerns
you.
both of you. Because it
Hmm.
concerns both parties. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
And I forgot your question. Maybe if
So,
Bernard will answer, then I'll remember.
what did
Yeah,
you
I'm
say?
gonna be real. Like,
What if your partner is just like
no,
mentally?
wait. First of all, I think if you want, why would you? I'm not the right person to ask the question regarding opening the relationship up to have an open relationship. I don't. I find it hard to entertain that idea. And if my partner brings up that topic, which I'll have to start asking questions of why does she want to. But then,
Okay,
but then,
wait. Sorry to interrupt, but we're veering off. That was a bad example. I should not have mentioned open relationship or whatever. I think the question I was going to ask is that let's say you have something that you urgently need to talk about in your relationship with your partner, but your partner is occupied and busy with something else, both mentally and physically. That just they're just not this. They're indisposed. You know, they cannot. They don't have the time to deal with your shit. And what
what,
do you
like, honey,
Sorry,
I got
sorry.
cancer or some shit like that? Like,
No, no,
what?
sorry. I have a funny thought. Oh my God, I saw this really hot person. I need to urgently discuss this possibility of an open relationship.
yeah, this is scumbag behavior.
Yeah, but like, can you give me an example of something that I absolutely have to speak with my partner about right now?
Well, maybe it's that you've been put on ice for, you know, like maybe it's been weeks since you had a quality conversation with your partner, but your partner's busy with work, busy with you know, their own responsibilities, that you feel neglected. But the fact that but you know, there's that mismatch of how much you need would constitute as quality time and how much they need would constitute a quality time, and they need less than you, but you feel like there is this mismatch that you need a bit more that they're not giving, but you know that it could potentially add to their pressure if you ask for it.
I mean, if they is there a reason why they're not giving as much as they used to?
They're busy. Maybe they're busy with school.
All right, then I'm the perfect example because my partner is under stress and I don't want to add to her stress. And that conversation which I mentioned where I spoke about my feelings and my fears and I was not judged for it helped a lot with my own insecurities. And knowing that she wasn't gonna give, like, I don't know why, but like, I know I should trust my partner. I know I shouldn't have to worry about stuff like that. But I think deep down inside, like, there was still a certain feeling of uncertainty. Like, I don't know if I would have been judged, right? Like that. Does she really care? Like, the like, if she, like, thoughts like, if she had cared about me, then wouldn't they ask me how I was doing and stuff like that, you know? But that's an internal problem. That was for me, like, I was insecure and and I had to like try to think about where this feeling was coming from. But that conversation I had with her really helped a lot in understanding, like, yes, she does care. She's just got a lot on her plate right now.
So why did you have that issue to begin with? Did you ever figure out
I guess
where that was
it,
coming from?
I guess, like, yeah, because I think it might sound harsh. It might sound harsh, but like I guess I didn't completely trust her yet. I mean, don't forget, this is a pretty new relationship, and we are in a long distance phase right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we still had a lot of things we need to learn about each other and get used to, like just to internally confirm as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
And the fact that and that helped me get over this insecurity was that, oh, okay, you know, like i wasn't I wasn't made fun of, but I was respected. Like my fears were seen and understood. They didn't try to deflect what they did. They took it, and they understood it. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that that's how it turned out.
Yeah.
That's good.
And it helps a lot. And now I know, like, okay, this is all right. You know, like internally I could say to myself, like, this, I'm fine. Like, she got me. She just have a different way of expressing it or showing it.
Yeah. Right. Well, if I could indulge myself, be a little selfish, let's talk about the same issues of, the ones that we talked about, how somebody has to be the breadwinner, somebody takes care of the house. How do you guys think it works for gay couples? Like, if it's both, because in my experience, I feel like gay men are very, very willing to, like the whole socio-economic concerns don't matter as much. You never see a gay guy say that, oh, this guy isn't rich enough, so I don't think I will date him. Or like these, that would be something else. That's sugar daddy, but that's not a relationship. But a lot of gay men and gay women don't really care as much about your how much money you earn and all that kind of stuff. But do you guys think there still is? Do you think that, for the example in you, Dan, like, do you feel like gay couples in Latvia or in that former Soviet bloc would still have this kind of this concept of somebody has to be the breadwinner and then one partner has to play the more feminine role in the family?
Well, there's two thoughts I had. The first one is I think maybe gay couples don't look at it as much because it's harder for them to find a partner in the first place. So, but of course, as any other person, they still want to have the partner, and that's why they're willing to not like they're willing. They have a will for more compromise, I would say. Or not like consciously, but it means more for them to find a person that they can connect with, and so that's why maybe everything else is not that important.
Because
And is it like that in our country, like in like my region? I'm not sure. I don't know, to be honest.
Hmm.
I don't know what to tell.
'Cause even when we were talking about this whole subject of who plays what role in a family, it all felt somewhat foreign to me because when I think about the kind of family, quote unquote family I would have, there are no defined roles that I feel like, I don't think about that kind of stuff. I don't think about, oh, I would prefer to have a partner who's more homey, who's more you know, more of a caretaker of the house, or I don't really think about having a partner who earns more money, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's so
But
weird.
I think I also think that this relationship power dynamic things also goes on in homosexual couples. I don't want to say gay because I feel that sounds just too
Sounds gay.
men focused. Because what?
No, I mean gay can
No,
refer to
fuck you.
women as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I feel like people would separate gay for men and lesbian for women. Do they not do that? Or am I just
Uh,
overthinking stuff?
yeah, I think you're. Yeah, well, yeah. No, you're right. Most people correlate the term gay to both male couples, but in fact, it refers to both.
Yeah, I would say so
That's
as
how I
well.
inferred it as well.
I guess.
Okay.
I guess the role. I guess there eventually will be a dynamic. A relationship dynamic, a power dynamic, so to speak. But I just feel like maybe it is for us that we never really had the idea of, oh, what is a role model, gay wife, for example. What is the role model of a of a husband in a gay relationship, etc. And since both parties are the same, then there effectively is no role, because if we talk about gender roles, when both genders are the same, then there's no point to this discussion in a gay couple. I don't know if
Is it
okay,
though? Because there is more feminine men and more masculine women.
that's
So would
true.
they not then overtake the quote unquote gender roles of that relationship?
Yeah, they might, but there are also people that are, like in my instance, both me and my partner, neither of us are, extremely masculine or extremely feminine. We're both kind of like in the middle. Is that what do you feel like that's the so that imagine if you are gay, would you prefer to have a partner who is more masculine or feminine, or do you don't care? Would you have a preference?
Well, I think if I were gay, I think I would prefer a more feminine
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
guy.
so.
Right? Like, so I feel like there is that preference in most straight people that, when they think about, oh, what kind of a partner do I want to have? A lot of guys would say, I would prefer to have a very, house savvy, like a wife that is able to cook, or like you wouldn't. I've never heard a straight guy tell me that I specifically want to date a woman who doesn't know how to cook but is extremely good in the garage. Like, that kind of stuff. Whereas this kind of expectations we don't really have in the gay community, or do we? I don't know. This is tough.
I don't think we're the right people to be asking these questions.
Yeah, I should stay away from these bigoted cisgender straight men, privileged
What?
men.
No, it's just
Well, in any
it's just
case,
it's
I
just
I was just curious. All right. Should we move on to the 1955 Good Housewives Guide on how
Yeah,
they should treat
let's.
their husband?
all right.
All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready. Drop it.
Okay. Seems pretty vanilla. Okay, the first rule is that you need to have dinner ready. Plan ahead, even the night before, to have a delicious meal ready on time for his return. This is a way of letting him know that you've been thinking about him and are concerned about his needs. Okay,
Is it only me or Jamie's cutting in and out?
am I? Wait, let me check my
Is it the same for you,
Slightly,
Brendan?
slightly.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I also noticed that I was cutting in and out a little bit on the previous episode as well,
Yeah,
though.
it did happen. It might be internet connection.
I thought the microphone threshold or something like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my question about this is that if you're Do men really believe that back then? Do men really think that, oh, I feel so loved that my wife is thinking about me whenever they eat?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's just a need. It's just like, oh fuck, I'm hungry, and eat, and then
It's more like your responsibility is everything house related, so do
yeah.
it. Um, unless if you don't, then it's like he's doing his part of the responsibility, going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I think it. Like, what's actually underlining there?
That's true. Right. Guide. This is the rule number 2. Most men are hungry when they come home, and the prospect of good meal, especially his favorite dish, is part of the warm welcome needed.
You know what? When I had very very difficult days at my like at my work, not at my work, but when I was working, when I started to work for myself, if it was a very stressful and hard and long day, I I thought about the concept of returning home into my wife's embrace, into eating something as very touching and very like this is the times where you think about it,
oh, that's so
like
sweet.
really.
What?
I don't think she necessarily have to be the one who made the food.
Yeah.
I think we could get order, like we could just order online, get food delivered. But I think if I when I've had really stressful days, and I've had a couple, sometimes I really just want to just feel the comfort of my partner again. Like
Yeah.
just we don't have to talk. I just want to hug.
Oh, I thought you were going some other way. Or like, okay,
What?
just physical comfort, and you just want to bang.
What? No,
Okay.
I don't even know if I'll be in the mood.
Mm,
I just need to unwind and de-stress,
yeah.
you know, just to hug and cuddle maybe.
Okay. Rule number 3: prepare yourself. Take 15 minutes to rest, so that you'll be refreshed when he arrives. Touch up your makeup, put on a ribbon in your hair, and be fresh looking because he has just been with a lot of work weary people. Oh my god.
I
It's
rather
not
she
a good
not
thing
wear
for a
any
servant.
makeup.
Can you imagine like
Yeah.
but I've seen this happen in real life, much less, in 1955. I have seen like, Taiwanese housewives that whenever their husband comes back home every day, it's like a big project, Oh, my husband's coming back, she's like not refreshing her makeup, but she's, checking herself in the mirror, making sure that food is ready and all that. And I remember just looking at that when I was a kid, because that was my neighbor's mum. And looking at that, I was disgusted. I just felt, even as a kid, I was just like, oh, why does the husband have so much power over her?
I don't like the idea of my wife having to prepare for my return. I rather she just does her stuff and I'm back and I'm back. You know, she doesn't have to. It's not like a fucking inspection or whatever. You know, like
Brace
just be
yourself for my
herself.
arrival. Okay,
No, fuck that. I'm
right?
just a dude.
It's crazy to think that it's still difficult for me to grasp just how much power that these men used to have over like what was considered normal. It almost felt like you're so important that your wife needs to greet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
My emotion is like it feels like a guy for a servant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
Okay.
of that point, but yeah.
Number 4: be a little gay and a little more interesting for him. His boring day may need a lift, and one of your duties is to provide it. Oh my god.
What? No, she doesn't have to be happy if she's not.
She doesn't have to be gay.
Can you
I'm
imagine?
straight.
Can you imagine?
I don't think they're using that term in that way.
I imagine like a time traveler, like a Black Mirror episode, a time traveler from 2025 wants to experience what's it like to be a wife, and then they read this, and then they're just they became gay as soon as their husband returns home. There's just another girl waiting for him. That might be preferred, like an impromptu threesome.
I don't know.
All right, that's kind of
Might be, kind of. Wait. Let's discuss this further. No, I'm joking.
No, okay. The two of you should be honest. Wouldn't you like that? An impromptu threesome.
All right, look.
Didn't we discuss this?
I had a threesome. All right, and there was a weird moment where I was talking to one lady while the other lady is working her magic with her mouth, and it was just such a weird moment where it just clicked in my head, like, bro, this is weird. I'm just having a casual conversation with one person, and somebody else is going down on me.
I feel like
that was weird, and I I'm already, to be honest, like I already feel like I have trouble satisfying one. Now I have to deal with two people.
It's a lot of pressure.
No, I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was interesting to have experienced it, but I'm not meant. Like, it's not meant for me. Like, I can't. I don't think I'm doing a good job.
Well, what if it's a threesome with another man and a woman, and then your responsibility to pleasure that woman has just been halved? Would that make it easy?
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll be jealous of that. Like, I don't know if I can see another man pleasing. Like, it will have to be a woman I'm not related to at all. Like just a random fuck. Like, a random couple just invited me for a threesome. But even then, I don't know if I feel comfortable about that. Like, are they gonna murder me after they're done? Like,
oh no, not in that way.
like how close, how much physical contact do I want with this guy? Is he gonna turn around and penetrate me?
No. It's a threesome that is eccentric for the woman. So it's about the two of you pleasing her. So there's no mutual pleasing among the two of you. No gay business.
Yeah, but who goes first? Sloppy seconds, like
Maybe you can all go at the same time.
What? You mean like a spit roast?
Like a double penetration kind of thing. Okay, here's a fun question.
Is that gay? Is that gay if your balls touch while you're fucking a girl?
I think we established that last time that it is not gay as long as you're both touching within the confines of a vagina.
I don't know, man. Like even then, like, I'm not sure I feel comfortable. Look, I see sex. I mean,
oh my god,
sex is good. It feels great, but like I really learned that if you're not feeling it, it's not that good. Like, it's just like masturbation with extra steps. Hold up.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, I love torturing you guys over this question. Dan, what would be what would be the minimum requirement? Like, what would have to, okay, so for you to have a threesome with your current partner, where the other party is a guy, what requirements have to be met for you to be okay with it? What are some ground rules, and what are some preference in the guy? Like, does he? Would you be annoyed if the other person is just hung like a horse, a huge like a huge dick, the a pinnacle of manhood?
I can't imagine I would be okay with this in any way. Because I guess I don't know what's the word in English for this, but
Homophobic?
What?
no.
Sorry, I missed a moment. Can I have a quick catch up?
Oh yeah, no, I was
Uh,
just asking, what are the minimum requirements? It's like if your partner is requested for a threesome with another man, what what do you need from it? Like what would make you accept it? What are some ground rules that you would want to establish, like in terms of what you do and what the other person would have to be like?
Okay, first of all, my instant reaction when I hear my partner with another man is already a hard no. Like that would be that would be a moment where I start thinking like, am I okay? Like, am I okay with this? Like, is this relationship still working, or am I just coping? Because I don't know. Maybe I'm just too conservative.
You know,
But
let me enlighten you on this because I have a lot of personal experience with people like you. This is gonna sound a little weird, but a lot of the let's say a lot of the hookup offers that I have ever received were from a straight couple that are, you know, a couple of decades into their relationship and they want something fresh. Let's just put it that way. Like it's you'd be surprised to know what you would be okay with and what would turn you on, given enough time. And a lot of these men are like, you know, kind of like you know, it's like, oh, you know, I'm very conservative when it comes to this. But then, you know, 2 decades after using the same vagina, they're like, you know, let's have something new.
yeah, but it's not. I feel like then the mindset is wrong. It's not. You're not using a vagina. You're having a connection with your partner. I
Yeah,
feel like
but
the whole
they,
approach is already wrong.
yeah, well, they've had the connection for 20 years, and then, you know, maybe an argument could be made that they're no longer in love. But you know, this is two people that have children, that have a family. They can't just break up. You know, there's still some semblance of a relationship there, and you know, who am I to judge that, right?
I think you can start introducing toys. You can start introducing light BDSM. I feel like there's a lot of steps
Yeah.
which is not considered before even going there.
Hmm.
I feel like this is jumping the gun a bit way too much.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know you guys are so like you guys are very conservative in when it comes to this because if you ask me the same question, like let's say if my partner wants to have a woman in the threesome, my bar is surprisingly low. I don't really care. You know, anyone could join any woman can
You,
join.
you might have to repeat what you just said, but slower, because you were cutting out a bit.
Oh, sorry. I said that I have a surprisingly low bar when it comes to this. I feel like if it's a threesome with you know with another woman, you know that my partner wants to experiment with, I don't mind. I kind of don't mind. It doesn't have to be. You know, I don't have any requirements. I feel like yeah, that's fine.
I don't think there's a one size fit all method to this. I mean,
Mm,
it depends on what you are okay with and what your partner is okay with. And there is a lot of healthy conversation, communication that needs to take place. I mean, I'm sure that there is a three-way partnership going on somewhere out there in the world, and they're all happy about it. But like, it has you have to talk with your partner, and everybody have to be on board, and there has to be a review after to see if you are really are or are not, because you sometimes think you're okay with something, and then after the thing happened, you realize, no, I'm not okay with that actually.
yeah, there's always a potential for jealousy, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
Mm, mm. Right. We need to veer away from threesomes. Let's focus on on the guide. Okay. Tip number 5 is that clear away clutter. Make one last trip through the main part of the house before your husband arrives. Gather up school books, toys, papers, etc., and then run a dust cloth over the tables. I don't understand.
This sounds like housework,
Right? It
and
doesn't.
then I
It
have
sounds
to
like
ask.
Yeah.
it sounds
Yeah,
like an
I,
employee handbook for a maid.
No,
Exactly.
no. I think this is more like the conservative traditional wife where they are in charge of the household.
Hmm. I see.
Well,
But
yeah.
if you think about the modern day relationship where it's a double income, right? Two people are working, then I feel like it's not all about okay, yeah, all right. This is the what 1950s or
1955. Yeah.
yeah, 1955. So I get that that's the traditional household. But if you think about today, I don't think that will fly well, especially if two people are working. I think both have to pull their weight
Maybe.
because as far as I'm aware, this is also a vector of conflict for most relationships where one person would feel like they're doing all the work in addition to all the other job related work that they have to do, and they would be slowly but surely pissed off about it.
Okay, maybe you guys are not as permanently on social media as I am. I feel bad about it, but I am kind of plugged into the zeitgeist. And the whole point of this is because there are these TikToks, there are these content creators that pride themselves on basically living this lifestyle. They're like, "Oh, I need to treat my man like this, like that." These female content creators, they all talk about, being the perfect wife, and then it often alludes to what it's like in the 1950s, and then preparing stuff in advance. And I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared to say that there is slowly but surely there may be a movement, back to this.
But is it though? Because look, you don't show how unhappy you are
Mm,
online. You only show the best parts of whatever fabricated lifestyle you wish to show.
yeah.
It's a sell. You're not doing that because you're trying to make the world better. You're trying to sell that point to either influence things or to sell a product, right? You're getting something out of it. This is one of the main reasons why I don't consume social media anymore anyway, because it's all bullshit.
Okay.
Personally, I think anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, rule 6. Over the cooler months of the year, you should prepare and light a fire for him to unwind by. Your husband will feel he has reached a haven of rest and order, and will give you a lift too. After all, catering to his comfort will provide you with immense personal gratification. Light a fire.
I keep imagining a house that doesn't have a fireplace, and it's just a fire in the middle of the room.
Just sets the bed
The
on
husband
fire.
comes and is like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Are you trying to burn the place down?
Yeah, low-key, I'm waiting for the guy to say something about providing sexual, service for your husband, but it's the 50s, I guess not. Okay,
Yeah.
prepare the
It'll be
children.
too scandalous.
Take a few minutes to wash the children's hands and faces if they are small, comb their hair if necessary, and change their clothes in preparation for your husband to interact with them. Oh my gosh.
They've been cleaning the chimneys for way too long. They shouldn't be covered in soot.
Yeah. Right. Children are little treasures, and he would like to see them playing the part. Minimize all noises. At the time of his arrival, eliminate all noise of the washer, dryer, or vacuum to encourage the children to be quiet. Oh, the meticulous amount of thought that's been put into this. Like, wow.
Whip your kids like 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
So they learn to fear.
Number
Jesus
9, be
Christ.
happy to see him, free him with a warm smile, and show sincerity in your desire to please him. What?
Oh,
Oh,
shit, here it comes.
your sincerity to please him. I think this is platonic, though. I think maybe it's just like, you actually want to
Uh-huh.
provide, service. Okay, you may have a dozen of important things to tell him, but the moment of his arrival is not the time. Let him talk first. Remember, his topics of conversation are more important than yours. Wow.
Jesus Christ. You
Wow.
are subclass.
Oh, man. Okay. Make the evening his. Never complain that he comes home late or goes out for dinner, other places of entertainment without you. Instead, try to understand his world of strain and pressure and his very real need to be at home and relax. Okay.
Why do you have a lipstick on your collar?
Don't question it. Don't question
Shush.
Don't question it. Slaps.
Watch now.
Jesus.
Okay.
Me is.
Jesus.
Number 12.
Why child is loud?
Okay.
Silence.
Your goal, try and make sure your home is a place of peace, order, and tranquility where your husband can renew himself in body and spirit. And number 13, don't greet him with complaints and problems. Hey, that's something that I have a question for you guys. Like, do you mind if your partner greets you with a complaint? Like they have something to complain?
But like I walk home and they're like, why did you not take the trash out?
No. It's just like a
it's you again.
complaint. They're like, oh, my back hurts or something.
That sounds to me like an invitation to give her a back rub. Why would I complain about that?
Aren't you just the dream
Oh
man?
man, my back hurts. Oh boy, let's go.
Well, I mean, if I'm coming home and I had some trouble as well, I guess it's all very depends on the context of the situation.
Yeah. What kind of complaints? Like, oh
If
man.
if my partner is complaining 24/7 and well, like all the time, then it will get tiring. But I guess that's obvious.
What if it's a complaint about the macroeconomics of Latvia? Like, can you imagine?
no hello, no anything. But just like, you know what?
Yeah, exactly. That don't sound right. Yeah. Like you walk in the door and then it's like, Karl Marx was right. This is wrong. Like well, I would say like, whoa, honey, at least ask me how my day was first or something like that,
I would say something like hello to you too. But yeah, let's talk about it.
What if everything that you ask them, they allude back to the economy? You're like, hey honey, how's your day? And she's like, stagnant, like the wages of this country.
I would feel like I'm on a show or something.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to get me to do something or say something. I'll be like, all right, get to the point. Like, what is it?
Do you want money?
Oh man, it's like whenever I get compliments from my team members, I'm like, thank you. All right, so what request do you want to make?
All right, number 14, don't complain if he's late home for dinner or even if he stays out all night. Count this as minor compared to what he might have gone through that day. But what if he's out all night cheating on your ass?
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, what the fuck?
I don't know. This sounds very sus. Okay.
Yeah, don't complain. Be happy. At least you got a husband who's providing food and children for you.
Okay. Number 15, make him comfortable. Have him lean back in a comfortable chair or have him lie down in the bedroom and suck his dick. Have a cool... No, I'm just kidding. Have a cool and warm drink ready for him. Oh, okay.
You know the audio...
yeah,
and you
it's
just
off
like
exactly as though you plan to censor it,
Yeah, you told like lay him in the bed, and then a bit of a silence, and then dick, and that's it.
No way, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
Convenient censorship.
Fucking hell, I'll adjust my microphone. I need to be closer. Okay.
Yeah.
Arrange.
Maybe we shouldn't be saying things like this in the first place.
Just an idea. Maybe not be so vulgar. Okay.
Yeah.
Arrange his pillow and offer to take off his shoes. Speak in a low and smoothing and pleasant voice. So much thought is put into this. This is insane. Number 17. Don't ask
Your
him,
last servant.
okay, don't ask him questions about his actions or question his judgment of integrity. Remember, he is the master of the house, and as such will always exercise his will with fairness and truthfulness. You have no right to question him.
Oh, Jesus
No
Christ.
way. No way. And below it,
And this is 1955.
yeah. And below it is a picture that says, "Who said housework has no glamour?" Wow.
Wow.
Who said slavery has no glamour?
Yeah, I can see why some hopeless guys these days who don't have their shit together would wish that it would go back to that, because it's just control and power.
Right? Because you were talking about incels, and I feel like for some of these incels, they would prefer to return to a time when wives, have to behave exactly like this. Okay.
Yes, servant.
Rule number 18, a good wife should always know
Oh, it
her
goes
place.
on?
Oh, no, that's the last one. You should know your place.
What?
Oh my god.
What the hell? Okay,
Your
wait.
place, bitch.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
On top.
Okay, dudes, I feel like the website I'm on is a little problematic because at the very bottom it says, "Are you able to follow these 1950s housewife rules? Let us know below." Are you able to be a slave?
It's a website. I thought you got this from like a book or something.
No, it's based on like a little pamphlet from the 50s. Like it's showing you all the pictures and the text of that little pamphlet.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know, man.
Would you guys like, okay, if you were to travel in time, would you be able to live in that world where this is how your wife behaves?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. I don't know, but it will feel fake though.
I wouldn't. I would try to steer her away from that.
Yeah, I would.
And then no
say
other
like,
man will accept her, and she will be forever mine.
Oh shit!
But you would.
But I don't know.
But the other men would make fun of you. They'll be like, "Dan, you have no control over your woman."
Why use yourself
talk about what they care? Yeah.
Misbehave. Well, I would.
And don't they
see where it
fucking dare
goes.
touch her, because then we have problems, huh?
Who touch who?
You know what? As a side note, I wish I can find like a pamphlet for how to be a good husband in the 50s. Is there such a thing?
And to answer your question, Ben, like they
Don't miss on your beating quota.
I was thinking more like if they because they're like, oh, your wife's like wild, so we can like punch her or put hands on her or like, it wasn't a pleasant time.
They would suggest me to do it.
Maybe you should put that woman back in her place.
We can maybe out.
But then again, like, who gives a fuck? Like, this is my life. Like, yeah, I would prefer if it's keep your nose out of it, misters. And I tip my hat.
We would put on an act, like a professional stuntman.
And then you get home, you close the door, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. I'm reading a 1970s guide to be a guide for a good for a happy wife. So it's like a guide for you to be a good husband. And the first rule, I kid you not, it says make sure the refrigerator is stocked with wine, and don't judge your wife if she's drinking when you come home.
Jesus Christ.
I have to say, people of yesteryear, like these people are very practical. You know, you'll have to give them that. At least
No, you're turning them into an alcoholic. That's not healthy. You're numbing them to the pain they feel inside or something.
Oh my goodness, the amount of housewives I know that drank when raising a kid and all that, like when I was growing up. Oh my goodness. Staggering.
That's not healthy. Man.
Impressive.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I guess that is it for today's episode. Oh my goodness, it's gone on for 1.5 hours. But yeah, I hopefully you now know what it takes to be a good housewife.
Wonderful.
This is pertinent for our one female listener. Okay, but in any case, you can check us out on Spotify. And once again, if you have any questions, put it on Patreon, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Have a good week.